Breakfast Club. We have Zach Greenberg from Forbes magazine. He's the editor of Hip Hop Cash Kings List.
That's
How's
right.
it going, sir?
People pay him lots of money to get on that list.
Well, if only I got paid like 10% as much as the guys on the list did, I'd be pretty happy. Yeah. But no, nobody pays anybody to be on the list. It's a pure merit-based decision.
So you're from Forbes magazine.
Yep.
Now you do the Hip Hop Cash Kings List.
That's always very interesting to see who's getting it out here. You know what I'm saying? We actually talked to Rick Ross previously about him being on the list. I saw that hilarious interview.
Right.
Now, how do you get the people on this list? Like, how do you decipher how much they make and their worth?
Is it their cash on hand, or is it like their net worth as far as properties they own and all that?
Right. So the Cash Kings list is just how much they made over the past year. So like, if they go to the tax man and they say, I made $5 million, that's what they'd be taxed on. The net worth list, that's a Forbes 5. That comes out in the spring, and that's net worth. That's total assets plus cash on hand. That's why it's always different, and why the Cash Kings list tends to be a lot lower numbers. Although this year Dr. Dre made so much money that it confused everybody, I think. Yeah,
he made more than everybody combined in like the top. Was it the top 10, the top 20?
He did. Dr. Dre made $620 million before taxes. And that is more than the 24 other people on the list combined. So that's, when you look at 10 times more than 10 times more than Diddy, 10 times more than Jay, just unbelievable.
And you know this because he had to pay taxes on it.
Well, he will.
This is what people report.
This is what he reports. Okay.
This is what he's going to report. Yeah. So all that cash that all those other guys are making on the side that they don't report, that's not even included.
Yeah, Dre will have to report everything. It was pretty public. That Apple deal,
hide that.
$3 billion, 2.6 up front, and then he owns between 20 and 22% of the company. So his cut is based on that. Plus he had some other earnings from back catalog, stuff like that, and then earnings from the actual company itself.
Well, hopefully he has some good write-offs.
Yeah, he did make a huge charitable donation. It was tens of millions of dollars to USC to form a school there.
Which is great, because that's what you should do, right? Because when you make that much money, first of all, you have to pay it forward,
right,
and donate. But tax-wise, it is a great idea to, rather than give it to Uncle Sam, you might as well.
Goodness gracious!
I just made a donation today, but mine was only $500.
To where?
Prep for Prep is an organization that I was in when I was younger for gifted students in urban communities that are underprivileged.
I made a donation to the Madison Casey Foundation.
That's your children, okay?
That's my daughter, yeah.
Your daughter has a foundation?
Yeah, I got to pay her. I got to make sure she all right. That's a big foundation.
Now, do people get upset when this list comes out and try to argue with you, like, well, how come I didn't make it? How come I'm only number 8? Blah, blah, blah. Like, do they argue about it?
Do they shoot up the Forbes company? Like,
they come up and run you up, grab you by the collar?
Vest?
Yeah, we're not, we've never had anything like that. But, the way we do it, we go through, there's a touring database called Polestar that gives us a lot of the numbers there. A lot of the big transactions like Dre are reported. We go through record sales. You can get a lot of that information. Then there are the finer points like, endorsement deals, joint ventures, things like that. How do you calculate that? Well, you do it for 8 years like we've been doing, and every year you talk to managers, artists, and lawyers, and you try to get, off the record kind of on background comments that people will tell you how much this deal or that deal is.
Right.
And then you put it all together, and what we always do is we call the representative of each artist before the list comes out, and we say, we've got you around whatever, $10 million. If you have any other evidence that you would like to argue, we should be higher or lower, we'd be willing to listen, but we won't necessarily believe you.
Do people sometimes not want to be on the list because of tax purposes?
That's what I say. Hey,
or they don't want people to know how much they're making.
The tax purposes, and a lot of times if they've got a divorce coming up, they don't like to be on it.
That makes sense.
So I get them with lawsuits all the time.
Khalifa's got a divorce coming up.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly, we don't know. They might.
Well, no, she filed for divorce. That's not alleged.
A lot of people file for divorce. That doesn't mean they go through with it.
All right. Hopefully they work it out.
Right. Hopefully they work it out.
And there's always people are surprised made the list that are kind of low key as
like
far
who?
as like Tech9. Sometimes people don't know the amount of money that he makes from touring and merchandising.
Yeah, Tech9
is
an amazing story. He's a guy who. He doesn't get the kind of record sales numbers that a lot of the bigger acts on the list do, and he doesn't get the nightly grosses on the road that a lot of acts do. But because he owns all his own stuff, he's got his own record label, he's got his own touring.
His own pressing plant.
Right, you've been to his pressing plant before.
I went out there to Kansas City. He's got warehouses, he's got his own trucks. He's got his own merch. I mean,
Right.
like stacked up, you know, in this gigantic kind of Walmart-sized warehouse. And you know that means that he's keeping, you know, he's getting like more than half of the profits
Right.
that he's splitting with his partner, as opposed to just, you know, like a 10% cut or 15 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what a lot of artists don't understand. You make a lot more money. You might not sell as much,
Yeah.
but the amount of money that you get to keep, it actually ends up being more than.
Right, but you know the problem is a lot of artists don't have that money to invest. You know what I mean? Like Tech9 has a partner, they invest it, and they can equally make that money back. When you see a lot of these artists and they have these big homes and these big cars and all this jewelry, they don't have the cash on hand to spend $1 million to invest in themselves. That's why they always have to go to a major label. That's why even with Jay you know, Jay's he's not signed. He's independent, but people think he's signed because he pays, whether it's Def Jam or Interscope or Atlantic, to work his records. But Jay is another one. He's independent.
All right, now, as far as besides Beats by Jay, because that's just, you know, out of the equation here.
Yeah.
We don't even. What is the best investment that artists have been making that are on that top 25 hip hop cash kings list?
Wingstop.
Well, that's definitely a good one for Rick Ross. Wingstop. That's, you know, we calculated a couple million to his bottom line every year, and he'll be growing. You know, and I think it's a good look for him. I mean, you know, he's obviously a guy who likes his food. You know,
He's losing weight though.
Yeah,
Ross
you know.
is losing weight,
And he clearly likes lemon pepper wings in the strip club, as do I.
Okay.
You know, he would not let me leave before eating the lemon pepper wings.
Did you try them? Did you like them?
I like them.
He
They were
didn't bring
very
us any. I was a little offended.
He brought us liquor. He knows you like liquor, so he brought you liquor.
good. He didn't bring me any liquor.
Oh, well, you got wings. But what about liquor is another great investment?
Liquor's another great one. You know, and Puff again, number 2 on the list, tied with Jay-Z. $60 million in earnings. Of course, you know, he's way up there in net worth.
That's right.
But he just keeps adding to it every year, you know, $50-60 million thanks to Ciroc.
Product
mainly.
placement. Turn around. Look at that Ciroc bottle right there. It goes.
Oh.
Ciroc.
And Rick Ross has the Bel Air, too. I'm sure
Right,
that does
right.
well for him also.
Right. And of course, Puff has Revolt and Deleon and all these other.
Oh, Revolt
ventures.
ain't making no money.
Yes, they are. We're on Vios now. We're doing all right.
I think it's Fios.
Oh, it's Fios? Oh, Fios now.
You combine Verizon and Fios together.
I did.
Now,
Right.
Nicki Minaj is the only female that made the top 25 list.
That's right, and you know she's usually a little higher up, but she didn't really tour very much during the year that we.
Because the album didn't come out yet, the new album.
Right, and you know she still has those endorsements. You know, so she's still, you know, she's got back catalog sales, stuff like that. Kept her on the list. I think she was number 11, and you know still had a really good year. And I look for her to continue to be a mainstay.
She did American Idol, right? That was last year, 2 years
No,
ago.
that wasn't this
That's
time.
2 years ago? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that didn't count. That definitely knocked her down a little bit too.
You know what's amazing? Eminem didn't put out an album this year. And it was before his tour with Rihanna, and he still made the list just off a back catalog.
Back catalog, and he usually does. I mean, a handful, maybe half dozen shows a year.
That's
but he'll
enough
do
to put
them
him
at
up.
like some 25 or 30,000 seat arena in Australia, and you know, and gross like $3 million or something. You know, so he does all right. He doesn't need to tour that much to to get a big payday.
You need to do like a DJ's
They
urban
do.
list.
They do one, but
I said urban.
okay, yeah.
I mean,
they'll be like DJ Envy, 75,000. He's number 2 on the.
that much? I was thinking 7,500. You need to do like an urban DJ list. You know?
No, that's
Get
too
on the
much
urban
struggle.
because
That's
you
too
got
much struggle.
Tiesto and
Oh,
Chucky.
yeah.
Like we can't meet those guys.
Yeah, you're definitely not up there with Calvin Harris.
I'm 7,500. Next year I'm gonna be 8,000. I'm gonna get up on that list one day.
What about fashion and clothing? Are any of those artists in the top 25? Did they make that list because of, you know, any type of clothing line?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the artists on the list have clothing lines.
Whose is the most successful?
I mean, certainly Puff. You know, Sean John is up there. You know, I mean, Jay-Z isn't really as involved in rockwear as he was before, but you know, that's another source of income. Yeah, I mean, Wiz Khalifa is increasingly getting interested in fashion. So that's a big
T.I.
thing for him. T.I.
Cool.
Yeah.
I really actually like Wiz Khalifa's whole rolling tray. I use that all the time.
Really?
hmm
Okay.
And all his papers and all of that. It's a great idea. I think it's great when artists have something that's organic, that makes sense, that they do, and that they.
Yeah.
Because we can really be like, okay.
Was Snoop on the list?
Yeah, he
Speaking
was
about
in the
smoking.
middle of the pack.
Okay.
Like, I think right around 10 million.
Snoop does a lot of shows. Snoop's
He does a
always
ton,
working.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shout out to Uncle Snoop.
Yeah, he's you know, he's definitely like he can pitch anything, right? I mean,
Right.
whether it's a cell phone
Absolutely.
or like Hot Pockets. I think he did a Hot Pockets ad.
The Hot
We're
Pockets.
getting
I think he did what is it? Colt 45.
He has a G pen.
The G pen.
Yeah.
You know, with Snoop, he did a video and he called my son and his nephew, like my nephew. And the other day, one of my neighbors came up to me and was like, "So is Snoop your brother?"
He didn't understand the nephew term.
But I was mad. I was like, She's trying to say, "Oh, black people know each other." And then I thought about it. I was like, "Oh, he did the video." I had to go back. I was like, "No, it was just a video."
You called it racial.
Yeah,
racial.
I definitely got racial. But I was like, all black people know each other. And I walked up and I went back. I was like, no. Yes, he just did a video. He just was calling my son cousin, like, family. He was like, oh.
He just said, no, my son's in a gang, and actually him.
I gotta say about Snoop too. I mean, if anybody ever doubts his lyrical ability, they shouldn't, because I interviewed him for Forbes a few months ago, and sometimes when we interview people, we ask them to just spit a few bars, and just like a lot of time they freeze up and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that, or they do like a Dr. Seuss kind of thing, and
or they take out their cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. But he was like, okay. And he took about 3 seconds, and then he went in, and you could tell that he kept making it up as he was going, but he went for like a solid minute.
Wow.
A whole thing about being on the Forbes list and how he should be one, not two, not 3, not 4, and like all this stuff. It's online somewhere, but I mean, he really brought it, and it was the most impressive of any rapper we ever asked do that.
Does anybody turn you guys down, or people must get excited? Because if the Forbes company called me, I'd be like, all right, let's do this interview.
Yeah, there are a couple who don't, usually talk, but everybody kind of plays ball even if they don't talk. Like they'll have, their
send out a statement at least.
Yeah, they'll have a publicist say, oh, we're not going to comment this year or whatever. But I mean, we were, you never know.
We're not going to comment this year, but we made $80 million.
Right.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, very impressive. What about real estate? Is that something that matters on this list? Are any of these artists flipping real estate?
Yeah, so we count that on the net worth list on the Forbes 5, and we add that in with if Puffy has like however many mansions or Jay-Z's Tribeca loft, we calculate that in, but because it's it's like a static asset, not really necessarily generating. I guess if they're renting it out, you count that as income if you want it, but we focus on that only for the net worth list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we always pay attention to that list all the time. So.
Yeah.
Well, next time I see you, I want to be on that list.
All right.
I want to be
somewhere. Well, you keep on grinding,
Envy.
keep grinding.
Shut up.
And he's number 1,322 on the Forbes list.
Hey, look, as long as I'm on the list, I ain't gonna say what number. How big is the list?
20 people. And usually there's a tie at the end.
Just tell everybody I'm 21. Just it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
but just say,
just
tell everybody. Tell them the camera.
Near miss, right there.
See, I'm number 21. Next year I'll make the list. Zach Greenberg, Forbes magazine editor, Hip Hop Cash Kings. We appreciate you. And it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.